One of the world's largest tech companies just banned an AI tool its 200,000 employees relied on, and it's not because of a bug. Alibaba, the Chinese e-commerce and cloud giant, has ordered its entire workforce to stop using Anthropic's Claude starting today. The reason? A security accusation so sophisticated that most companies didn't even know it was possible, something called a distillation attack. For those not following the AI arms race, this is a huge moment. Anthropic is one of the top 3 AI labs globally, competitors with OpenAI and Google DeepMind. Claude's one of the most capable AI assistants available, and now a major nation, through one of its biggest companies, is essentially saying their AI isn't safe for internal use. But here's what makes this story bigger than just one company. The accusation reveals something genuinely scary about how modern AI can be weaponized. It's not about hackers stealing passwords or crashing servers. It's about extracting the intelligence inside an AI tool itself, copying its knowledge without owning it. And distillation attacks might be harder to detect than any cyber attack we've ever seen. The ban went live this morning across Alibaba's platforms. No use of Claude for any employee, any department. And China's already spreading the news, signaling to the rest of the world that Western AI tools might have a security problem everyone else missed. Let's ground this. Alibaba's not some tiny startup. It's a $450 billion Chinese conglomerate. E-commerce, cloud computing, payments, it touches nearly every part of China's digital infrastructure. The company employs over 200,000 people directly, millions more indirectly. And like every major tech firm globally, they've been experimenting with Claude for months now, using it for customer service automation, code generation, internal knowledge work. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, is American, founded by former OpenAI researchers who wanted to build AI differently. Their focus has always been on safety. They are the ones who invented constitutional AI, a method for training models to align with human values, but they're also in a race with OpenAI and Google for market dominance. Claude's become genuinely popular. It's used by engineers, writers, researchers, and business teams worldwide. The irony here is sharp. Alibaba was using Claude precisely because Anthropic markets it as safer, more honest, less prone to hallucinating false information. If Claude's genuinely unsafe for sensitive work, that's not just a problem for Anthropic, it's a vulnerability in the entire AI supply chain. China's made this move very publicly. State media's already running the story. That signals this isn't just a business decision, it's geopolitical. And when China makes a security move, the rest of the world watches carefully. So what does a distillation attack look like in real life? Think of an AI model like a master chef's secret recipe. A distillation attack is basically someone getting you to reveal the recipe by asking just the right questions. Each answer gives them a tiny piece of information. Here's how it works. An attacker asks an AI thousands of carefully crafted questions, not random ones, but strategically designed probes. When you layer these answers together, you start seeing the underlying logic of how the model thinks, what it learned, what it values. They are stealing the model's knowledge without access to the internal numbers that make it work. For Alibaba, the concern is that Chinese researchers could extract Claude's training data or internal logic, then build their own version without the expensive training work. Training a top-tier AI costs hundreds of millions of dollars. Distillation steals that investment in hours. But there's a deeper security angle. If someone extracts what Claude knows and how it thinks, they could figure out its weaknesses, what it will never do, and then weaponize that information. It's like learning a bank's security system well enough to bypass it. The attack's insidious because it's nearly invisible. Regular security logs don't catch it, the attacker's not breaking in, just asking questions. That means Alibaba couldn't even tell when it was happening. So what does a distillation attack look like in real life? Imagine a researcher in Beijing starts asking Claude very specific questions. What benchmarks would you expect from AI trained on English text? What architecture would score highest? What percentage of your training data comes from academic papers? Each answer seems innocent, but it leaks information about how Claude was built. After thousands of these interactions, the researcher doesn't have Claude's exact recipe, but they have something nearly as valuable, a map of how it works. They understand what training data mattered most, what techniques Anthropic used, what trade-offs they made. Here's where it gets scary. If researchers understand Claude's safety training, they might learn how to bypass it. They could figure out the safeguards Anthropic installed, the constraints that make Claude refuse certain requests, and then build their own AI without those guardrails. Or they could fine-tune Claude itself to remove the safety layers. For a Chinese company, this is a national security concern. If they lose the ability to use Claude, but gain the ability to build an equally capable, less restricted version, the calculation changes. That's probably what spooked Alibaba's leadership. The accusation from Alibaba isn't that this happened, it's that it could happen, and that the threat's real enough to warrant a total ban. This isn't the first time a government's moved against Western AI, but it's the most aggressive move we've seen yet. The United States has been careful, mostly rules and transparency rather than bans. Europe's followed with regulations. Russia's blocked open AI, but that's political theater. China's ban is different. It's the first time a major government has accused a specific Western AI of being a national security threat and banned it across an entire corporation. That's a massive statement. But here's what makes this brilliant from China's perspective and terrifying from Anthropic's. It sets a precedent. If Alibaba does it, other Chinese companies will follow. If the government officially endorses the accusation, it becomes policy that could spread globally. It's also exactly the kind of restriction that doesn't require legislation or cooperation. It's just a business decision that serves geopolitical goals. Anthropic can't sue their way out of this or easily lobby for retaliation. They just watch a major market pull away. The real twist is the accusation itself. If Claude truly is vulnerable to distillation attacks, that's a problem Anthropic needs to fix, not just for China, but everywhere. And they've never publicly disclosed whether distillation attacks actually work on their models. The silence is deafening. So what does this mean for everyone else? Not immediate panic, but the story reveals uncomfortable truths. Most companies using Claude, startups especially, haven't thought about distillation attacks. They've assumed their AI tool is secure because a big company built it. This ban forces a conversation. How secure is Claude really? Here's the ripple effect. If other governments follow China's lead, that's not just bad for Anthropic, it's bad for every startup built on Claude's API. The United Kingdom and Southeast Asia have been watching, but the deeper implication is about trust. Anthropic's entire brand is "we're the safe, trustworthy AI company." That message just took a hit. Whether the accusation is real or propaganda, it's now in people's minds. Here's what matters most. This might force a reckoning across the entire AI industry. If Claude can be distilled, so can ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. Every AI company now has to prove their models resist extraction attacks, or admit they don't know if they do. That's a knowledge gap nobody wants exposed. The battle's shifting from whose AI is smartest to whose AI is actually secure, and right now, nobody has a great answer. Here's where this gets bigger than one company. So if you work at a tech company or you're building a product with AI, what's the smart move right now? First, understand what data you're sending to Claude. If you're sending proprietary code, customer data, or trade secrets to a commercial AI service, you're already taking a risk, distillation attacks or not. Some companies have started using local AI models or on-premise deployments specifically to avoid this. That's becoming the default for finance and healthcare. Second, ask your AI vendor hard questions. If you're paying for Claude, demand to know, has Anthropic tested distillation attacks? How resistant are they? Have they published any findings? If they say we don't test for that, that's a red flag. It means they haven't even looked. Third, diversify. Don't bet everything on one AI platform. If Claude gets restricted in a major market or a serious vulnerability appears, you want a backup. Having both Claude and a local model as a fallback isn't wasteful, it's insurance. Fourth, monitor the regulatory landscape. This Alibaba ban might seem China-specific, but regulatory moves cascade globally. The United Kingdom, the European Union, and even the United States might follow with restrictions or requirements. Being ahead of the curve beats scrambling later. Finally, pressure your vendor to be transparent. If Anthropic wants to keep customers, they need to prove Claude is actually secure. Right now, they're not saying much. Demand better. That pressure works. Here's the core truth underneath all of this. The AI industry just got its first real security stress test, and nobody's ready for it. Alibaba's ban might be driven by geopolitics, might be a genuine security concern, might be some mix of both. We don't fully know yet, but it doesn't matter, the precedent is set. When a corporation the size of Alibaba decides an AI tool is too risky, it sends a shockwave. Other companies will follow. Governments will watch, and vendors will scramble. For the AI companies themselves, this is a wake-up call. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, none of them have publicly disclosed how they'd handle distillation attacks. That silence just became a liability. The next few months will show which AI companies take this seriously and which ones hope it blows over. What's next? Watch for copycat bans. If other Chinese companies announce restrictions, that'll confirm this is trending into policy. Watch for Anthropic's response. If they announce security upgrades or distillation attack testing, that's a sign they are taking it seriously. And watch your own AI usage. If you're plugging proprietary data into a commercial AI, now's the time to ask whether you should be. Here's the reality. We've built this entire AI future on trusting big companies to keep our data safe. And the first real test is failing. Follow for daily AI news as this story develops, because it will.